Hello, in this video we're going to talk about the reasons why when you try to create a worksheet from a create worksheet with a specific testing template in or any template in the compensation module, even though you entered all information in create worksheet and including a head of planning, the job that runs under monitor job says that it's completed successfully, but there were no worksheets created. So that's a very common case and we are going to take a look at that today. So the first thing to do is to go to define planners and understand what method of planning is used for the template. Standard suite hierarchy means that we're basically going to create a worksheet for every person who is a manager according to the company's org chart, which you can also access here. So if we go quickly take a look at the org chart and we search for, let's say we try to create a worksheet for Allison Mahoney, we want to make sure that in this method of planning standard suite hierarchy, Alison Mahoney, has people reporting to her. So standard suite hierarchy means we're taking the situation of the company's org chart and we're creating a worksheet for each person who is a manager. It doesn't matter whether the person is themselves eligible for planning in their manager's worksheet. If they have people reporting to them, they will get a worksheet created according to the standard suite hierarchy. Now, one of the things that is most common for no worksheet to be created is because even though the person is a manager, none of the employees that report to this person are actually eligible. And if no employees are eligible, even though the person is a manager, if all of these employees are made eligible by our eligibility rule, then the system won't create a worksheet. So that's the number one reason why a worksheet will not create. And to do that, we kind of have to go back to the previous recording from the section on eligibility rules and run a report to see who is ineligible based on the, the eligibility rules we built. So let me explain where to find this report. So under Plan Setup and Manage Users Define Planner, you'll find this report here, Troubleshooting Information, Export Ineligible Users. And here you want to make sure that all the people that at least one of the people that reports to the manager you wanted to create a worksheet for are not showing in this report. Because if all of the people of all of the team members for that manager are showing there, then there will be no worksheet created. So that's the most common issue when using standard suite hierarchy. There could be other issues such as um, maybe your employees were loaded as EC enabled employees, but with an effective date after our template's Employee Central effective date. So this date here in Employee Central setting is really important. It really drives everything, the eligibility rules, the data that shows on the comp worksheets, and it also applies to the employees. So if you loaded your employees in Employee Central effective 1/1/2021. So you just did the data migration in a new environment and all employees are cutover is made as of 1/1/2021. And your template here in the effective date has as an effective date of 12/31/2020 instead of 1/1/2021, then it's looking at the system as of a date where nobody was in the system, nobody was EC enabled, and so that would be the reason why the worksheet will not be created because it's not finding any eligible users as of that date. So even if you didn't have any exclusion rule in your eligibilities that is uh, excluding these employees specifically, even if this was gone missing and we didn't have anything to exclude any employees, if the effective date of your template is set to be before the effective date of the user profile in Employee Central, then the worksheets will not create. These are the two main reasons when you're using a defined planners method of planner standard suite hierarchy. Now let's take a look at the other two. If you're using roll-up hierarchy, the most common issue is that the manager, you have not you want to create a worksheet for is not flagged as a planner. So to just give a little background on this method of planning, this method of planning is based on the company org chart that we saw previously, but it essentially lets you pick, instead of assuming that everyone who has team members is going to have a worksheet created, it lets you pick who will have a worksheet created. So in the case of Allison Mahoney here, if we wanted to skip Allison and have all the people that report to Allison roll up to the Allison's manager, Michael Pittman, we could create we could flag Michael Pittman as the manager, and in that case, all of the people reporting to Allison and Allison herself would roll up and be in the worksheet for Michael Pittman. So in roll-up hierarchy, on top of the explanations on eligibility that are provided, which are valid for all three types of method of planning, if a worksheet doesn't get created, it's probably because the manager you're trying to create a worksheet for doesn't have a box checked here. And so you want to type the manager's name here and make sure that the manager is checked, and then make sure that you save the box. And then you can create a worksheet for that manager. Also, when using rollup hierarchy, uh, you if you want to create a worksheet for a particular manager, you need to enter the top of planning or the manager of that manager. So if I wanted to create a worksheet for Michael Pittman, and I would have to enter Michael Pittman's manager as the head of planning when creating a worksheet. This is an issue that I've encountered before. Even though I flagged Allison Mahoney as sorry, no, the issue here uh, is that if you want to see the actual roll-up of all employees in your worksheets, um, when using roll-up hierarchy, if you have unchecked Allison Mahoney, but you want Allison Mahoney and all of our employees to show under Michael Pittman's worksheet, so you should enter Michael Pittman as a planner name, and you should not check create for head of planning only. If you want all the roll-ups to be in Michael Pittman, if you do check create for head of planning only, you will only get Michael Pittman's team members' direct reports in the worksheet. So, which is not what rollup is supposed to provide or to do. Um, yeah, so that's the thing I wanted to add on top of that. So that isn't really a reason why no worksheet was created, but that would be why some employees would be missing when you would expect them. You need to uncheck create for head of planning only to when you're launching from a certain manager, so that all the people below that managers will get added correctly to the worksheet for that planner. Now, the last one is the compensations planning hierarchy. So compensation manager hierarchy is a custom hierarchy that you can use to create your own hierarchy, similar to the employees org chart that you can find under company info that we looked at the beginning. And you can use the user directory file to load a specific compensation manager for each employee that will determine who will get added to the worksheet. So if you don't want to use roll-up hierarchy or standard suite because you want to create worksheets based on a totally different way, you can build your own manager hierarchy. And I will skip the details on how you load the composition manager hierarchy. It can be done directly through the user directory file, or you can use the job relationship portlet of Employee Central that gets then synchronized with the what we call the user directory file. But what I want to explain about the compensation manager hierarchy here is that if to make sure that your compensation manager hierarchy is correctly built, one of the things that is especially has an impact on a lot of things such as the executive review filters is you want to make sure that when you type a planner that you loaded as a planner, you can actually see the little tile for this planner show up here with total number of eligible employees in org is showing a number. If you can't access it, then probably that's the reason why no worksheet is being created. It's because the values you thought you loaded are not actually loaded, and you may want to export your UDF and then check that your hierarchy is correctly loaded. So again, so if you type a planner's name and you don't see you don't see a tile showing for that planner when you click outside after you select the name. That means your compensation manager hierarchy has an issue and is broken somehow. So it could be that there's a value in there that is not a user ID. It could be that someone is not reporting to someone else, and so the hierarchy is broken, and that could lead to issues with worksheets being created. Um, so I think this concludes some explanations on why worksheets will not be created. It's most of the time it's an issue with people reporting to other people in the system as of the right effective date based on the type of planning here.